Shabbat shalom, y'all. Sorry to disappoint you, but it's me today. Today's parashah is Balak, as Larry and Tony read this morning. It's one of my favorites. Of course, it involves good people. There's also a villain, his hired stooge, a sword-wielding angel, and a talking donkey. It almost reminds me of watching Shrek. God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit all make an appearance in this parashah. To top it all off, this parashah probably contains one of the strongest messianic prophecies in Torah. The Haftorah is Micah 5:6 to 6:8. Now Micah lived during the reigns of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, all kings of Judah. Let us take a look at Matthew 2:3 to 6. Wait a minute, what does that have to do with Micah? Okay, stick with me. Matthew 2:3 to 6. When King Herod heard, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he called together all the ruling Kohanim and Torah scholars, he began to inquire of them where the Messiah was to be born. So they told him, in Bethlehem of Judea. For so it was written by the prophet, And you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people, Israel. This is referring to Micah 5:1, which is not in our Haftorah portion today, but it is related to the parashah. Micah 5:1, But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, least among the clans of Judah, from you will come out to me one to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth are from old, from days of eternity. So from Bethlehem will come one who has been around forever. This one will be ruler over Israel. This can only be Yeshua. Coming from Bethlehem refers to his first coming. Being the ruler refers to his second coming. If you have not read Micah, you should. It is only 7 chapters, and Micah will come up again later. Numbers 22:1. And Paula mentioned earlier the intervention of God, and this parashah is full of it. In fact, he was directing the whole show. Numbers 22:1. Then Bnei Israel set out and camped in the plains of Moab. And we have the map up? Alongside the Jordan, across from Jericho. The parashah does not begin until the next verse, but I like the background this verse provides. It looks like they were near the northern border of Moab. They stayed for a time as quite a few things happened. And this took place not long before Moses died, so I assume that it was they were camped near Mount Nebo. Now on the map you can kind of see Israel, the river, Jordan. They were to the left of it. And it's kind of hard to see there, but there's Mount Nebo and in between Moab and Ammon up there. Okay, now we begin our parashah. Numbers 22, 2 to 4. When Balak, son of Zippor, realized what all that Bnei Israel had done to the Amorites, Moab became terrified because there were so many people. Moab was filled with dread because of Bnei Israel. Moab said to the elders of Midian, The multitude will lick up everything around us like the ox licks up the grass of the field. Now Balak, son of Zippor, was king of Moab at that time. Balak, king of Moab, is talking with the elders of Midian, who lived quite a long distance to the south. Balak has observed what God has done to the Amorites and feared what would become of him and his people. Balak knew he could not attack militarily. It does look like the nations of Moab and Midian were allies. And I had read later that they were not allies, but they had a common enemy, Israel. So they were working together to see what they could do about their common enemy. What Balak did not know was God had already said not to provoke the Moabites or the Ammonites, as they were relatives. These are two peoples who descended from Lot through a relationship between Lot and his misbehaving daughters. So Balak sent elders of Moab and Midian, cash in hand, to seek the help of Balaam. Balaam had a reputation, as indicated by Numbers 22:6. Come now, curse this people for me, because they are too strong for me. Perhaps I may be able to defeat them and drive them away from the country. I know that whoever you bless will be blessed, and whoever you curse will be accursed. This verse also indicates Balak was afraid of the people, but not afraid of Adonai. As best as I could tell, Balaam lived in a town along the Euphrates River, quite a ways to the left there. And each time they sent messengers, I understand it was about a 10-day journey each way. That would make sense, as camels are not nearly as fast as the Mustangs we might use today. Apparently, Balaam would hear from God, but he was only interested in prophesying for financial gain. If he were around today, he would probably be on television and would have authored several books, which he conveniently would have for sale. When the messengers arrived at Balaam's house, they offered him money to curse Israel. Well, Balaam had them spend the night to see what he would hear from God. God said to Balaam, "Do not go with them. Do not curse Israel, for they are blessed." Numbers 22:12. In the morning, he sent the officials back, telling them God would not allow him to go. When Balak heard the bad news, he knew exactly what to do. Numbers 22:15-17. Balak again sent other dignitaries, more numerous and honored than the previous ones. They also came to Balaam and said to him, "Thus says Balak, son of Zippor, please let nothing keep you from coming to me. I will richly reward you, and everything you tell me, I will do. Just come now and curse this people for me." Now Balaam had already been presented with this golden opportunity and had already heard God's opinion on the subject. Yet Balaam is negotiating with these men and hoping God will let him go. Balaam recognized the importance of this to Balak, and he smelled cash. Numbers 22:18-19. But Balaam answered Balak's servants, "Even if Balak gave me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot cross beyond the mouth of Adonai to do anything small or great. But now you may spend the night here too, that I may find out anything else Adonai might say to me." Adonai had already answered Balaam, but Balaam will inquire to see if God might have a different answer. Later on, Balaam will learn that the first answer from God is the best. Don't ask for another. Numbers 22:20. God came to Balaam by night and said to him, Since the men came to you to summon you, arise and go with them. However, only the word I tell you, you are to do." So God did have a different answer this time. Not always a good thing. Numbers 22, 21 and 22. So Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the Moabite princes. But the anger of God burned because he was going. The angel of Adonai stood in the road to oppose him. He was riding on his donkey, and 2 of his servants were with him. So even though Adonai said he could go, Balaam's embarking on the journey angered Adonai. Standing in opposition was no ordinary angel. This was the angel of Adonai, or Yeshua himself. Numbers 22, 23 to 28. When the donkey saw the angel of Adonai standing in the road with his sword drawn in his hand, the donkey turned off the road and went into the field. So Balaam beat the donkey to get her back onto the road. Then the angel of Adonai stood in a narrow path between 2 vineyards, with a wall on this side and a wall on that side. When the donkey saw the angel of Adonai, she pressed against the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against the wall. So Balaam continued beating her. The angel again moved. He stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn, right or left. When the donkey saw the angel of Adonai, she lay down under Balaam. Balaam was very angry and beat the donkey with his staff. Then Adonai opened the donkey's mouth, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have beaten me these 3 times?" Balaam looked around and said to those with him, "Did you hear that? I have a talking donkey." It does not say that. It really says Balaam and the donkey carried on a short conversation. When our conversation had ended, we move on to verse 31. Numbers 22:31. Then Adonai opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of Adonai standing in the road with his drawn sword in his hand. So he fell on his face. Now when someone falls on his face before an ordinary angel, the angel instructs him to get up. He is not to be worshipped. Revelation 22, 8 and 9. I, John, am the one who heard and saw these things. When I heard and saw, I fell down to worship at the feet of the angel who showed me these things. My comment, this was a man who walked and talked with Yeshua during his earthly ministry. But he said to me, "Do not do that. I'm a fellow servant of yours, and of your brethren, the prophets, and of those who heed the words of this book. Worship God." Following is another indication the angel of Adonai is Yeshua. This angel did not forbid Balaam to fall before him. He just began to chastise Balaam for being a disobedient jerk. Numbers 22, 32 to 35. The angel of Adonai said to him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I came as an adversary, because your way before me is a reckless one." God does not want to see animals abused. Even if we eat them, we are to kill them as humanely as possible. Yeshua continued, "The donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If she had not turned away from me, by now I would have killed you indeed, but let her live." Balaam is beginning to realize he's in a lot of trouble. Balaam said to the angel of Adonai, "I have sinned, for I did not know that you were standing in the road to oppose me. Now, if this is displeasing in your eyes, I will go back home." The angel of Adonai said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but speak only the word that I tell you. So Balaam went with Balak's princes. The angel said to speak the word I tell you. Same thing God said to Balaam earlier. This angel of Adonai, or Yeshua, and God are one and the same. Another thing that stands out, Balaam was traveling with a couple of his servants and the princes of Moab. Is he the only one who heard the donkey? Is he the only one besides the donkey who saw the angel? No one else is mentioned during this encounter. Speaking of servants, even without Balak's reward, he was already a man of some means, able to pay servants. If your motivation is money, one can do well in ministry. Unfortunately, many who were motivated by money have done well. So Balaam and his entourage arrived in Moab. Balak asked why Balaam did not come immediately when he received an urgent summons. Did Balaam think Balak was unable to pay? Balak was somewhat insulted. Numbers 22:38. Look, I have come to you now, Balaam said to Balak. Can I say just say anything? I must speak only the message which God puts into my mouth. They went off together and sacrificed sheep and cattle. In the morning, Balak took Balaam with him to Bamoth Baal, and from there he saw part of the people. Bamoth Baal was a geographical location, but the name refers to high places of Baal. There Balaam requested 7 altars, 7 bulls, and 7 rams. Then Balaam went to a high place and inquired of God. Numbers 23, 5-10. Adonai put a message into Balaam's mouth and said, Return to Balak and speak thus. Balaam went back to him. Behold, he was standing beside his offering with all the princes of Moab. Then he uttered his oracle and said, From Aram Balak brought me, Moab's king from the mountain of the east. Come, curse Jacob for me. Come, denounce Israel. How can I curse one whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce one whom Adonai has not denounced? From the rocky peaks I see him. From the heights I behold him. Look, he lives as a nation apart and does not consider himself as being like the other nations. Who can count Jacob's dust? Who can number a fourth of Israel? Let my soul die the death of the upright, and let my end be like his. Balaam blessed Israel, and Balak was not amused. Numbers 23:11. Balak said to Balaam, What have you done to me? I brought you here to curse my enemies, but you have actually blessed them. Numbers 23:13. Then Balak said to him, Come now with me to another place where you can see a part of them only, not all of them. Curse them for me from there. They went to Lookout Field on top of Pisgah. There they built 7 altars and offered 7 bulls and 7 rams. Again, Balaam excused himself while he went to inquire of God. Balaam returned to Balak and the princes of Moab. Numbers 23:18-24. Then he uttered his oracle and said, Rise, Balak, hear me, son of Zippor. God is not a man who lies, or a son of man who changes his mind. Does he speak and then not do it? Or promise and not fulfill it? Look, I received a command to bless. He is blessed. I cannot change it. No misfortune is to be seen in Jacob, and no misery in Israel. Jacob their God, or Adonai their God, is with them. The king's shout is among them. God is bringing them from Egypt with the strong horns of the wild ox. There is no sorcery effective against Jacob, nor any divination against Israel. Now it will be said of Jacob and Israel, see what God has done. The people rise like a lioness, like a lion who does not rest until he eats his prey and drinks his victim's blood. Once again, Balaam blessed Israel, and Balak was not amused. Then Balak said to Balaam, do not curse them or bless them at all. Balak said to Balaam, come with me to another place. Perhaps it will be pleasing to God, and you may curse them there for me. So, shut up, don't say anything, come with me. So they went to the top of Peor, overlooking the wasteland. Again, there were the customary 7 altars, the 7 bulls and the 7 rams. Numbers 24, 1-2. When Balaam realized it was pleasing in the eyes of Adonai to bless Israel, he did not resort to sorceries as at other times, but turned his face toward the wilderness. Lifting up his eyes, Balaam saw Israel dwelling by tribes. The Ruach Elohim came over him. So we have God and Balaam speaking with one another. We had a personal appearance by Yeshua. Now we have the Holy Spirit. The triune God is revealed in this parashah. Numbers 24, 3-9. He uttered his oracle and said, this is the oracle of Balaam, son of Beor, and the oracle of a strong man whose eyes have been opened, the oracle of one hearing God's speech, one seeing Shaddai's vision, one falling down, yet with open eyes. How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, and your dwellings, O Israel. Like valleys they are spread out, like gardens beside a river, like aloes planted by Adonai, like cedars beside the waters. Water will flow from his buckets, his seed by abundant water. His king will be greater than Agag. His kingdom will be exalted. God is bringing him out of Egypt. Like the strong horns of a wild ox, he devours nations hostile to him. He will crush their bones. His arrows will pierce them. He crouches like a lion or a lioness. Who would rouse him? He who blesses you will be blessed, and he who curses you will be cursed. Once again, Balak was not amused. Numbers 24, 10-11. Then Balak became furious at Balaam and struck his hands together. Balak said to Balaam, I summoned you to curse my enemies, but you have blessed them these 3 times. Go home. I said I would reward you, but Adonai has kept you from reward. So after all of this, Balaam is going home empty-handed. Not quite what he had in mind. Balaam did try to defend himself and his reputation, but I still don't think he got paid. Numbers 24, 14-17. Now behold, I am going back to my people. Come, let me counsel you what these people will do to your people in the latter days. Then he uttered his oracle, the oracle of Balaam, son of Beor, the strong man whose eye is opened, the oracle of one hearing God's speech, one experiencing Elion's knowledge, one seeing Shaddai's vision, one fallen down, yet with open eyes. I see him, yet not at this moment. I behold him, yet not in this location. For a star will come from Jacob, a scepter will arise from Israel. He will crush the foreheads of Moab and the skulls of all the sons of Seth. Matthew 2, 1-2, New American Standard. Now after Yeshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star in the east, and have come to worship him. The Magi mentioned by Matthew could have descended from Balaam. Either way, Balaam prophesied a star to come from Jacob. The bright star led the way. This describes Yeshua's first coming. John 14:6, New American Standard. Yeshua said, I am the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. The scepter describes Yeshua's return when he will rule and reign from Jerusalem. The oracle continued, and Balak and Balaam parted company and went their ways. Back to the Haftorah, Micah 6, 4-5. When I brought you up from the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of bondage, I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. O my people, remember, please, what did Balak, king of Moab, propose? What did Balaam, son of Beor, answer him? From Shittim as far as Gilgal, so that you might acknowledge the righteous acts of Adonai. Balak wanted to curse the people, but Balaam wound up blessing them. Before Balaam left home, God said not to curse his people. Without the angel and the talking donkey scaring the wits out of Balaam, he would have disobeyed once again and cursed God's people. As far as Israel was concerned, all of this took place in the background. None of them actually even knew any of this was going on. At some point, God revealed it to Moses so he could write it down for us. But God is always at work, even among our blessed enemies, for our blessing and ultimate good. We'll conclude with Romans 8, 31-34, New American Standard. What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who is against us? He who did not spare his own son, but delivered him over for us all, how will he not also with him freely give us all things? Who will bring a charge against God's elect? God is the one who justifies. Who is the one who condemns? Messiah Yeshua is he who died for us, yes, rather, who was raised, who is at the right hand of God, who also intercedes for us.